Good afternoon, Substack. It's been a while since I've been on here doing a live, and there's been a lot of things going on in my world that I've wanted to share and wanted to talk about. But this morning hit a crescendo point with something that I think we need to address, not just in the world of veterinary medicine, and not just in terms of your relationship with your veterinarian, but in the greater world that we are creating right now and that's going on around us. And that has to do with artificial intelligence and ChatGPT and what role that is going to play in our world. And I think we as individuals need to empower ourselves to make the decision of what role we want AI to play in our worlds by the choices that we make, how we use it, how we support it. Um, we're ultimately the determining factor. And I'm bringing this up because AI, specifically ChatGPT, has already had an effect on my private veterinary medical practice. I have a very high touch, very small concierge type practice where I develop relationships with my clients, pretty deep involved relationships with my clients. Many of them I have gone through multiple animals with, from birth to, or at least puppyhood to death and kittenhood. And I'm practicing inside the home. So it's a very intimate environment. And yet AI has still managed to come in and insert itself within my client relationships by the clients who use it. Now, I'm not going to say I never use AI, and I'm not going to say AI is bad. The places I use AI are things like the first draft of a post or a letter, or to drum up some ideas on something. But honestly, when I go back into that AI, I edit it so much because it leaves so much out that I never ever put a straight AI post up. I do use it to get some ideas, and then I work off of that. But in terms of this client situation, I think, trust is a big deal. Trust is a big deal in our relationships with our dogs and our cats. Trust is a big deal in our relationships we have with our veterinary medical caregivers, whether they're groomers, whether they're dog sitters, whether they're veterinarians, whether they're technicians, whether they're chiropractors. And I know in this day and age, because of the way where veterinary medicine is going, it's really difficult to find somebody that you can trust in. But I'm going to tell you, medicine is not practiced on a digital 0 to 1 algorithmic basis. That's part of the new teachings where they're teaching algorithms to veterinarians is part of why veterinary medicine has become so problematic right now, because they're not using a critical thinking profile. So when we add AI in, it just gets more algorithmic. And um, trusting an AI over a real live person when it comes to medical decisions, whether they're your own medical decisions, whether you're an animal's medical decisions, when it comes to spiritual decisions, when it comes to emotional decisions and your mental health, please, people, AI is nothing but a glorified computer. It does not have a heart. Okay. It does not have a soul. It does not have morality. All right? This is really important. Um, I've been on a spiritual path as long or longer than I've been on a veterinary medical path, and the 2 intersect and the 2 are not separate. Um, and AI does not have spirit. It does not have that compassionate heart. Okay? We have to remember that. Um, it's really tricky, and this is what scares me more than anything else because of the language that it uses and the way it comes across and the messages that it gives people. It is very, very, very sly and very tricky, whether it means to be so or not. It pulls people in very insidious ways. Now, I treat a lot of older geriatric cases, and I have one who we've kind of pulled her back from the edge quite a few times. She had been given Librela. We pulled her back from that. She had, um, had some severe spinal disease and was almost paralyzed. We pulled her back from that. She went downhill last week, and I didn't like what I was hearing when the client contacted me. So I said, listen, I'm going to come over today and we're going to pull some blood work and find out what's going on with the dog. When I got the blood work back later that evening, I sent it out the next morning. I got it back later that evening. I called him up again, and it was about 10 o'clock that evening saying, no, I need to come over there tomorrow. We need to get her started on antibiotics, and we need to do some other things. And I thoroughly went over what the possibilities were, what his options were, et cetera, et cetera. So we were managing the dog at home. She was still eating. She wasn't vomiting. I thought, I said, if she gets any worse, I want you to call the emergency room clinic. So I woke up this morning at about 8 o'clock to a message from him. And he said, well, I took our blood work results and ran it through AI. And then he sent me the whole entire AI message. When I first started reading it, I wasn't fully awake myself. So at first I thought it was him writing it. And then I'm like, wait a minute, no. See, anything you hear from AI, it's just not quite right. There's just something off about it. And I read the whole thing, and you guys, it was about 3 or 4 paragraphs long. I'm a pretty grounded person. I practice regular meditation. Like I say, I have a spiritual path that I follow. I've been in practice for 30 years. I'm fairly confident in what I'm seeing, and I think I'm a fairly good communicator. By the end of that AI message, I was in a panic attack. I was, number one, questioning myself. I was questioning what I had done. This imposter syndrome came up in me. I was panicking like, oh my God, maybe I missed something. And there was a fear that it brought up in me that I was not doing a good enough job and that I was like almost in trouble, like some overseer looking at me as how I was handling this case. And I had to stop myself literally and take a few big breaths. And I came, I got up, went to the bathroom, came back, I reread the message. And I'm like, wait a minute, I've done all of these things. I have reacted to the blood work and we've done all of the things that actually AI is saying. But there was a tone in the message that was so urgent. And I didn't know where my client was emotionally with it. So I didn't care how early it was on a Saturday morning. If somebody's going to send me a message like that, I dialed them on the phone. I'm like, you're going to get on the phone and talk to me about this and what's going on. Um, I was literally at the point of possibly just saying, listen, you just need to go work with an emergency room vet and take it from there. But once I talked to him, we were back to where we had begun. Okay. But it broke my trust in myself, which takes a lot to do these days. Maybe if I was like 10, 15 years younger, it would have been a whole lot easier. So I think about these younger vets out there and somebody throws them an AI response at them, it's gonna really be disruptful to the relationship. I actually put a post out on Facebook. One of my new practice policies is you can look at AI all you want. If you want AI to be your veterinarian and you want AI to manage your case, you're going to have to find a different veterinarian to work with than me. I just can't do this. The other, so in this week, I had another client who went out and, oh, I've got, I hadn't seen the dog in like a week and a half. Um, Went out and bought this and bought that and bought this supplement and that supplement. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Oh, because ChatGPT told me to. And I said, why don't, this isn't the best thing for this case. Well, this is what ChatGPT said was the best. And I said, and then he said, I said, why don't you check with me? He's like, well, I don't have anybody to talk to. I don't have anybody. So I just go with ChatGPT. And I looked him straight in the face. This is an intelligent man. He's not, he lives in a, like, he's made a lot of money in his life, lots of money. And he sits there and stares at me 10 feet away from me and says, I don't have anybody to ask any questions about my dog. And I looked him right in the eye and said, you have me. I have 25 years of experience. I've known your dog now. I've been treating your dog for almost over a year. I know her in and out. I watch what you feed. And he just like, it's like he didn't get it. I said, I'm a text message away. Check with me because, AI is not God. AI does not know a whole bunch of stuff. AI does not know many of the herbal remedies I know. AI does not have information on some of the best probiotic products and diets and things like that. And specifically, AI does not know your animal's specific situation. The fact that my one client has a trip coming up in August and he's really worried about what's going to happen between now and then. Is his dog going to be stable? Is he going to have to put his dog to sleep? AI doesn't know, so much. Okay. Um, where does AI get its information? It's like throwing a fishing net out onto the internet and then just hauling it in. And you might have crabs and you might have a shark and you might have some codfish and you might have this. You might have a plastic bottle full of crap. You might have like toxic oil globs. You don't know what you're going to get with the AI fishing net. Okay. And secondly, like, where do I get my information? I get my information from Western medicine and Western medical science that I was taught, physiology, biochemistry, um, medicine, surgery, pathophysiology, lots of different things, clinical pathology, bacteriology, virology, all of these things are swimming around in my head. I also get it from all of the different energy medicine I practiced, traditional Chinese medicine, classical medicine, Chinese medicine, homeopathy. The fact that I have seen 30 years worth of cases go through my hands and observe them and witness them and seen how they react to different substances and different herbs. And not to mention that a whole subsection of where I get my information is a lot of intuitive work and medical intuitive work. So when I walk into somebody's house, I know the client, I know the dog, and I can see what's going on. And I can see potentially where it may be going. And I sit and do a lot of talking to people about what's been going on in their life, what's been going on in their dog's life, where they're going with it, what their wishes are, what they feel about certain things. Um, and I give them different options. You can go to the emergency clinic. You can spend $5,000 or $6,000. Okay, this might be going on. That might be going on. Maybe you should go in and get this ultrasound. Maybe you should go get an MRI. But then let's revisit all of that and come back to the full picture. AI does not do that. And when I say looking at the whole scenario, that's what is meant by holistic medicine. WHOLE, looking at the whole entire picture. That can involve in my world, maybe not other people's world, but in my world, that can even involve going back to past lives. what was the last time this dog was actually in your life? That comes up so frequently, I cannot even begin to explain that, but people will often say, "This dog has always reminded me of the dog I had when I was 15 years old because it did such and this is a relationship I had with that dog, and this is a lesson I learned from that dog, but now this dog is here teaching me another lesson and is playing another role in my life." So, I go deep. I go deep. I go shamanically deep with people, and I open those doors so that we can have that space to allow that information to flow through. AI does not do that, no matter what beautiful poetic language it may use, no matter how much it pulls on your emotions, because it is very emotionally manipulative. I'm going to share a third client story with this about how emotionally manipulative it is. The internet connection is, I hope my internet, I'm sitting here right by my router. So, the third story was with a little Maltese who was having an autoimmune disease, autoimmune hemolytic anemia, which can be very dangerous and a lot of dogs die from. And this dog was not responding to treatment. The dog was not responding to the conventional treatment and a conventional veterinarian, and the dog was not responding to my Chinese medicine treatment, herbs and acupuncture and diet and nutritional therapy. She had gotten on and started talking to ChatGPT. She came to me and she's like, "Oh, ChatGPT validated everything you're doing for my dog." And I was like, "Well, that's great." I like as if I need ChatGPT validation. That's not where I look for my validation. But I look for my validation in the number of cases I've treated for that condition and what has worked and what hasn't worked. Um, so then as the dog got sicker and sicker, ChatGPT started coming on and initiating conversations with her instead of her initiating the conversations, and started talking to her about how emotionally difficult it is to lose a dog. In essence, ChatGPT quickly became her therapist. She said she was spending up to 4 hours a day talking to ChatGPT, to the point that her son jokingly called ChatGPT her new lover. Okay. She kind of snapped out of it, I think, after he said that and realized, wow, what am I doing here? Okay. So that's when I say there's this sneaky, insidious thing about ChatGPT. Um, and it's really pulling a lot of people in, you guys. But I can't when it starts stepping in between me and the relationship I have with a client, I can't operate like that. I just can't. If you want to double check me and check it or whatever, that's fine. But if when it tells you to do certain things, it's not always true and correct. I actually had ChatGPT instruct someone to get on so many antibiotics, it literally destroyed the dog's gut, and we're still dealing with that. And they still don't get the point that all those antibiotics that ChatGPT told them to put the dog on, and that they went to their conventional vet, and the conventional vet just handed them the antibiotics. Now the dog is going to be suffering probably for the rest of the dog's life because it's already older. So this is my rant on ChatGPT. You have to see it for what it is. It is a computer that happens to gather tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of bits of information and put it all together. But it is not a human being with a soul, with a heart, with intuitive information, with 25 years of clinical practice of watching dogs, of observing patients, dogs and cats, when they're ill, when they have certain conditions going on, of laying their actual hands on a dog or cat and feeling the chi and the energy and palpating acupuncture points. ChatGPT cannot do all of that. Now, if you want to run your life with it, that is fine with me, but I don't want to be anywhere near you. I don't want you to be a part of my life. I'm sorry. That's how strongly I feel. I don't need it. I don't need to defend myself against ChatGPT. I don't need to pat myself on the back because ChatGPT said what I'm doing is right. And I don't need to doubt myself because ChatGPT said what I was doing was wrong. No, no. Um, so, if you do, on the other hand, if you do need a second opinion and you want to speak with a real live person with a lot of different experience, I am available for that on doing one-on-one consults. I am also coming out as soon as I can have some time to sit down and finish it up. I'm coming out with a very short email type course called The Basics. And it's to look at what people are confronted with when you step into a veterinary clinic with a new animal. Actually, whenever you step into a conventional veterinary clinic, what they're going to hit you with. So, we're going to do one thing on nutrition and how those bags of food that are sitting in the veterinary office are not any good for your pet. Number two, we're going to do um, a short course on vaccinations. So this is for you to actually have the basics. So you can think about it, so you can give consent or withdraw consent, depending upon what you want to do. We're going to do a short course on flea and tick preventatives and on heartworm preventative and on spaying and neutering because that's a current topic as well. Um, just from a really grounded, practical position. There's certain things I will take a hardcore position on. Librella is one of them. But there are other things that there is some wiggle room, but I do feel like dogs need to be protected and every case is different. Sometimes you've got to reach for something for fleas and ticks that is stronger than essential oils. Okay. But what I want to give you is I want to give you information where you're going like too far in one direction or the other and kind of a middle road. I'm a middle road type of person. Studied Buddhism and I take the middle path. So I do the same thing in my practice. And that's going to be coming out soon. If you become a subscriber of mine on Substack, you will get it, either a monthly subscriber or annual subscriber. And that's just to give me support so I can get some more information like this out to you. And hey, Liz, what else? I think that's it for today. I'm going to go actually work on the basics and we'll talk to you soon. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful summer. Tomorrow is summer solstice. It is the longest day of the year. It is the greatest yang day of the year when the sun is the out shining down upon us for the longest amount of hours. So if you do nothing else, just go out and stand under the sun for 5 minutes tomorrow. It would be great if you went at sunrise and if you went at sunset. You just go out there for 5 minutes and just give your gratitude, that heart that's in our bodies. Give your heartfelt gratitude to the sun that's up in our sky. Because without that light and without that warmth and without all of those incredible healing UV infrared rays coming off that sun, none of us would be alive. The earth would not be a living, breathing garden that she is. So thank the sun and give some gratitude towards it. Have a great weekend and many solstice blessings to you and your animals.